Hi everyone, welcome to your video on compound conditionals. This is a video that's just going to add on to what you have already been learning about conditionals and just show you another way to use them that allow you to be a little bit more specific. So I have some code that I have started, which means if you are someone who gets a lot of value from coding along in these videos, I would recommend that you set up your screen to look kind of like mine. So you can see that I have made a circle. I've put mine in the middle of the page. That's what's happening on line 13. And I've given it a radius of 50. You could set your circle to be anywhere or to be any size. I have also made the text show up on the screen, which is mostly so that we can see where some of my numbers are coming from. Then I have made a variable to control the circle color. In this program, I want the circle color to change. So I'm not going to be redrawing my circle. I am just going to be adjusting the color of the fill that controls that circle, which is why I have plugged that circle color variable into my fill. I have also given the circ color variable a value in setup, so at the beginning of my program, my circle starts red. Now, what I want to have happen first when I run this program is I would like it that when my mouse gets on the right side of the screen, so when it passes center, then I want this circle to turn red. And that's something that we've seen together in class, so we can do that pretty easily. I think a really good idea in organizing your code is to try and keep the things that are static on the screen in one place, and the things that are going to change or update conditionally in another. So in my code right now, I have all of the static stuff on lines 13 to 9. This is stuff that's always going to be on my screen. And then anywhere below that, that's where I would start building in my conditionals. It can be really helpful to label that with a comment. So, oops, sorry, I've been coding in Python. I might write here that this is always on my screen. And I might write here, conditionals start below this line. And again, that's just to keep me organized. Please remember that comments are not read by the computer, so they are literally just there to help you make sense of code. I would strongly advise that you comment everything very liberally, because you'll probably be looking back at these projects when you are teaching, and you'll want some examples and some reasoning behind what you did. So I'm going to start my conditional, and I'm going to be saying that if my mouse is on the on the right side, change color. So that if statement is going to look like if, and then I have parentheses for my conditional, I have a curly bracket to start, and I have a curly bracket to close. I cannot stress enough to please make sure that you're getting all of these pieces in your conditional, otherwise it is not going to run correctly. Sometimes the P5 editor is nice, it's a little forgiving in some simple syntax errors, but if you're working in a professional editor or another setting, it's going to get really messed up. So on line 18, I am going to say that if mouse X, because I'm thinking left and right, becomes bigger than 200, and that is right here, when mouse X is bigger than 200, this is the center of my screen. Anything to the right, I see that X value getting bigger. Anything to the left, I see it getting smaller. And again, this whole thing, mouse X bigger than 200, this is what we call a Boolean statement. It's one of those things that only has two values. It only has a true or a false. And so even though we are saying mouse X greater than 200, the computer is just going to read, is this true or is this false at any given moment? And then inside of there, if I want the color to change, I'm not going to call a new fill, I'm just going to update the variable value of my color. So I'm going to say that circle color is now equal to green, so that I know it's definitely different. And I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to watch it run. So I move my mouse over, I cross 200, it turns green. My problem right now is when I go back, it does not change back to red. I could fix this very quickly with an else statement. I can put in an else, and I can say else circle color should turn back to red. And now I should be able to bop back and forth between them. What we should notice is I can move my mouse anywhere on the canvas, or even above and I guess below, that's where my drawing space is, the canvas, and I can get the color to change. But maybe I only want the color to change in a certain quadrant of my canvas. Maybe I want this like halfway mark on the X and the Y axis to be what makes my circle change. So to do that, I need to be somewhere in this box, and in this box not only is mouse X bigger than 200, but mouse Y is always less than 200. 200 for mouse Y is right about here, that's about half. It's really hard to see with the green text, you're going to have to trust me. Anything above it, the values get smaller, and anything below it, the values get bigger. So if I wanted to include that in my conditional, I would do it right in between these parentheses, and I would do this with an and. So this would make sure that both conditions need to be true in order for this circle to change. So here I'm going to say mouse Y needs to be less than 200. And now when I hit play, moving my mouse back and forth at the bottom does nothing. Moving it back and forth at the top will change it red to green. And same thing, I can move up and down over here. When I move up and down on this side, I cross that threshold and it changes to green. I can string together as many possible Boolean true-false conditions as I want using this and. I can also use an or operator, which would look like this. Or in JavaScript is this. It's two parallel lines that usually live above your enter return key on the right side of your keyboard. They're normally on a key with the backslash. And if you just hold shift and press that button, you will get those two vertical lines. The difference in logic between saying and or and means both things need to be true, or means only one thing needs to be true. This is one where I think like a video game reference is really useful. You see an or a lot in how games end. Games might end because you collect all the treasure, or you run out of lives. You run out of time, or you beat the high score. Either one of those might be a reason for a game to end. They do not both need to be true, just one of them needs to be true. I'm hoping that this helps you with compound conditionals. If you guys do have any other questions, feel free to come to office hours. We are happy to talk to you about it then. Bye!